What is up, guys? Eric here at TeamEccenTrick, and I'm bringing you my MACHINA ORCUST deck profile as of December 2019 going into January 2020. This deck is very experimental. It's not really anything I'd play necessarily competitively. However, it has seen a little bit of success in testing, and that's something that has kind of prompted me to do a deck profile on this. It's really, honestly, not that bad of a deck. It does have some weak points and some choking points, but nonetheless, the deck does perform on a pretty optimal level. It's actually pretty decent. So aside that, we will get right into the profile. So to start it off, we are playing triple Machina Fortress. This is easily one of the best facilitator cards in the deck because the way Machina Fortress works is that you get to send machine monsters from your hand to the graveyard, equal to the level 8 in order to special summon this from hand or grave. So the inherent design of this card just allows you to ditch itself to special summon itself, which is pretty nuts because you can just ditch this in any ORCUST monster, and as long as it's either Harpour or Nightmare, you basically have your combo right there. So there are also, not to mention, combos that allow you to end on Flare Metal with Topologic Bomber Dragon with all the optimal disruptions in grave, which is pretty decent. And in order to search that card, we have one Machina Gear Frame. Gear Frame, it just allows you to search the Machina Fortresses so that you can get to those combos a little easier. It was just an extra slot that I had that I figured could be dedicated to a search card for this, so that's something. After that, moving on, we have the ORCUST engine. So we have triple Harpour, we have double Symbol Skeleton, double ORCUST Nightmare, one World Wand, and one Gizmek Orochi, the Serpentron Sky Blaster. Each of these cards have their own inherent uses, obviously. The Harpour allows you to special summon any monster with ORCUST from your deck. The Symbol Skeleton allows you to special summon an ORCUST monster from grave. ORCUST Nightmare allows you to send any Dark Machine and then target a monster and increase that monster's attack by the level of Descent monsters times 100. The World Wand allows you to special summon any ORCUST monster from your Banish Zone, and then obviously Serpentron Sky Blaster is just a way to get another body engrave that you can send, or that you can special off of its own effect. Also, it's sendable by ORCUST Nightmare. So with Orchestrated Babel on board, this entire engine is nuts. It's crazy. So moving on, we are playing a small danger engine. We're playing 2 Nessie, 2 Jackalope, and 2 Tsuchinoko. These are obviously the best dangers. They're all inherent, not necessarily pluses, but they at the very least replace themselves. The most important ones are Jackalope and Nessie by far in this deck. However, Tsuchinoko is just at least a body that you can get on board that you can link up to make your Galatea and start going off with your plays. The reason why these, however, are the most important is because Jackalope, if it's discarded, you can special summon your Nessie from your deck, or if Nessie is special summoned from your hand, you have another level 7 that inherently allows you to get to the end goal board, which is the Flare Metal with the Bomber Dragon and the Counter Trap with the optimal disruptions. So we are playing that package. Then after that, we are playing all the monsters that you need in order to send your ORCUSTs. So triple Mathman, that's standard. One Dark Grepher, that's also standard. I mean, it's like one of the best warrior monsters in the game. Why wouldn't you play it? One Armageddon Knight, again, same thing. Why wouldn't you play it? So that is it for the monster count. I'm actually not playing any hand traps in this deck. I feel like hand traps in a deck like this, it really isn't the most optimal thing. It's very subpar in terms of how you play. I mean, obviously you can side them. Originally I was playing 2 Ash, 2 DD Crow, and then 1 Skullmeister, but I found that lineup rather troublesome and rather kind of vexing, just in the sense that you draw those monsters and you didn't want to send them or discard them or summon them or anything like that. So you'd have these monsters stuck in your hand, and if you used a danger and you discarded any of them, it would inherently kind of leave you without a disruption during your opponent's turn, or at least as good of a disruption. So I figured that cutting those in general was just probably the better option. For spells, we play triple Allure of Darkness. Obviously, I don't unfortunately own Orchestrated Return, so Allure of Darkness is just kind of a filling card for that. Triple Call by the Grave to stop opposing hand traps as well as opposing ORCUST monsters if they can't get their Babel on board. As long as you can keep your opponent's Babel offline, Call by the Grave is literally ORCUST's worst nightmare, so I feel like this is pretty optimal. Also, This is probably questionable, but I had the extra slot and I figured why not. A lot of people are probably going to look at me weird for this, but I play 2 Orchestrated Babel. And the reason why is because I am playing Topologic Trisbana in the deck, in the extra deck, and if you make Topologic Trisbana and you're forced in some kind of a weird scenario to banish your first Babel, at least you have the second one that you can set from your deck. So it just allows you to kind of be at least a turn ahead of your opponent in a scenario where you have to clear their Babel. It allows you to be turns ahead. So there's that. And then for the 1-of spells, I'm playing 1 Reinforcement of the Army, obviously to get to your warriors. I am playing 1 Reasoning because all your monsters, if you notice, have like weird different levels. Like there's 4s, there's 3s, there's 7s, you know, there's an 8 in there, there's 2 8s in there actually, now that I think about it. So there's a lot of different monster levels that your opponent can call, and that being said, Reasoning I feel is actually pretty decent. After that, 1 card destruction. If you use this on your dangers, you facilitate all of your danger effects, as well as you put your ORCUSTs in grave, which is inherently optimal. 1 terraforming, 1 foolish burial, 1 upstart goblin, 1 monster reborn. Those should all go without saying. Those are pretty decent cards. They're all, you know, okay combo. Either combo starters or combo initiate or like extenders. So, and then last but not least in the main deck, we have 1 ORCUST Crescendo. This card is just obviously used to negate stuff, but also it has that spell speed 2 effect in grave where you banish it to add a dark machine monster. But for that entire turn, it has that Pot of Duality like clause where you have to can only summon dark attribute machine type monsters for that entire turn. So you have to watch out for that. However, this card is just really, really good. Just being able to set this off of a Galatea is nuts. Now for the extra deck, we play double Galatea. Obviously, this card is the first extra deck monster you generally go into with your combos. It allows you to set your ORCUST cards, your ORCUST spells and traps from your deck, which allows you to kind of get into these grindy games and play in a way that you're also cycling through all your dark monsters, and you just keep recycling them back, which is really, really good. After that, 1 Lung Girsu. This card, its send effect is actually also really strong, but it's mainly used in order to build and link climb into Bomber Dragon. But again, its send effect, where it sends any linked monster on the field, is really, really good, because you can just make this, or even Symbol Skeleton it back to your opponent's monster, to point to your opponent's monster and just send it, which is pretty nuts. So that's it for the ORCUST links. Now moving on, we have the Link 4s. So Topologic Bomber Dragon, obviously, this is easily the best Link 4 in the deck. 1 Boral Sword Dragon to kill your opponent in the following turn, where you would basically deny them any plays. 1 Crusadia, or 1 Mech Knight Crusadia Evermax. This is generally a card that I make off of IP Masquerena, but it's just really, really strong, and it allows you to apply a lot of pressure, which basically allows you to come out on top in a grind game. So that's something to consider. 1 Topologic Zeroboros. This card just clears the entire field in a scenario where, like, you might be behind and your opponent might have you know, the field advantage. You want this to come out and just literally just blow everything out and banish everything. After that, for the last Link 4, this card could have been a 3rd Galatea, but I really didn't feel like a 3rd Galatea was really optimal. 1 Orcustrion. Now, the reason why this card I think is relevant is because it negates everything it points to, or negates all Link monsters, or if I remember correctly, maybe all Link monsters it points to, but regardless, it makes their attack 0 and negates all their effects. And it's also a 3k body, and it only takes 2 effect monsters, including an Orca. So you can literally make it off of 1 Galatea, 2 other monsters, 2 Galateas, Galatea, another Link 2, Lung Girsu, and a monster. It's a 3k body that you can at least put on the board, so that's something. So that's it for the Link 4s. Then for the Link 3s, we play 1 Topologic Trisbana, 1 Nightmare Unicorn. Generally, Nightmare Unicorn is only made because of IP Masquerena. In this deck, you just kind of IP and then you link up and then bounce something. But it is just really, really good. It allows you to spin stuff back. Topologic Trisbana, obviously, for those back row decks, just blows them out. And now for Link 2s, we have 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, and 1 Boralcade board blocker. Now, each of these cards obviously have their inherent uses. Nightmare Phoenix, we all know, it just pops a back row. IP Masquerena, we all know, is basically Formula Synchron for links. It allows you to link during your opponent's turn, which can be very relevant in a lot of scenarios. And then Borocade Blocker, it's a dark machine that allows you to, basically it's just effectively a discard. Like you just discard a card from your hand. You're not generally going to be adding back any field spells or continuous spells or anything like that. So it's the resolution of its effect, of that effect, doesn't necessarily come up, but it can in a scenario where like one of your Babbles is engraved. But regardless, you summon this and you're just discarding stuff. So if you can get 2 bodies on board and you need to discard an ORCUST monster, this allows you to do that. Last but not least is the 2 Xyz monsters. So we have 1 Flare Metal Dragon, which is one of the key components of the best board I think this deck can make, or at least this version of this deck can make, with Bomber Dragon, a Counter Trap, Flare Metal, or Bomber Dragon, Babble, Flare Metal, which is something that your opponent has to play through and burn themselves through in order to clear the Flare Metal, and then by then their life points are very extremely low, and then next turn you're just going for the kill. And then last but not least, obviously, Dinkirsu, which in my opinion is probably one of the most powerful cards of 2019. This card is ridiculous. If you're not playing this in ORCUST, you're not playing ORCUST. So, but yeah, so that's it for the deck profile. I'm going to probably do like 1 or 2 test hands just to kind of show you guys what this deck is capable of, and we will see where it goes from there. Alright guys, so like I said in the profile, I'm going to be doing some test hands just to kind of show you guys what this deck is capable of, at least to end on some decent boards. Hopefully we don't brick and draw some really crappy hands, but generally speaking this deck is pretty good about that. As long as you can get ORCUST monsters engraved, you should be fine, and there's a lot of different ways to facilitate that, which is exactly why this deck honestly needs to be hit on the ban list. This deck is way too powerful in my opinion. I mean, Babble just being able to make all of your ORCUST monsters quick effects, it's nuts. There's no reason a card like that should exist. But I'm going to shuffle up and we'll get right to it. So give me a moment and I'll be right with you guys. Alright, so our first test hand will consist of Danger Jackalope, Mathman, Card Destruction, Reasoning. Oh, that's actually not half bad. So what I would do here is I would activate Reasoning first. Say our opponent calls a level. We'll just roll for it, that way it's a little bit more random. So give me a moment here. Alright, so our opponent will call 2. Alright, so level 2, I suppose. So Symbol Skeleton is special summoned. Then from there, normal summon Mathman, attempt effective Mathman. Mathman obviously sends a level 4 lower, so send the Harpoor. So one thing I do always get confused about with Mathman is sending level 7 or sending our ORCUST Nightmare when we should be sending our Harpoor. Happens to me all the time. But so from there, then you activate Card Destruction, discarding your Jackalope and your other Mathman. So then you draw 2, so you draw Rhoda, ORCUST Nightmare, and then you can use Jackalope to special summon a level 7, so special summon Nessie. Then what you could do is activate Rhoda, adding Dark Grepher, you can use Grepher, discard the ORCUST Nightmare to special summon it, so you're really facilitating a lot of your plays early on and basically setting up for a very advantageous situation. So what I would do from here, link up Mathman, Symbol Skeleton, go into Galatea. Then from there you can, let's see, banish the ORCUST Nightmare and target Galatea and send the World Wand so that you can facilitate a very strong board here. And from there, banish Harpoor to special summon an ORCUST from your deck. Special summon another copy of, let's say, Symbol Skeleton. Then you can link up Dark Grepher and Galatea. Make the Longirsu. And from there, you can just Symbol Skeleton out your Galatea. Use World Wand to special back your ORCUST Nightmare. LED Gearsu and attach symbol skeleton. Then you can link up once more. Use Galatea. Just set Babel. Link these. Bomber Dragon. Make the flare metal and then activate Babel, and now you have basically a very optimal amount of disruption in your grave. So like if your opponent were to summon something, you can go symbol skeleton, target Long Gearsu, Long Gearsu special summon, and then neither flare metal nor Long Gearsu can be destroyed as long as Long Gearsu is linked and flare metal has XYZ material, and you just blow up your opponent's board. So that was it for my ORCUST deck profile / test hand. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I really appreciate any of the views you guys give us. This deck is very experimental, as I said, so obviously it's probably not going to be that meta relevant or anything. It's probably not going to, you know, shape the future of any ORCUST variants until the next ban list, which, by the way, I'm very excited for, because to be honest, I'm actually very sick of this deck. But I'm also very excited for, as I'm sure you guys are probably well aware, the Deep Sea archetype that's supposed to be coming out around April, May probably, in Eternity Code. I'm very excited for that. Finally, I'll be able to play Morales again, and I have a spell card that effectively is a Rhoda for Neptibus, Dragoons, or any Atlantean, as well as the Deep Sea cards themselves. So I'm very excited for that, as well as the new Master Rule revision that's supposed to be coming. So that's going to change up a lot of decks. But as of right now, I'm just focused on this meta currently, so that way we can you know, stay focused on winning games here and now. But other than that, guys, Eric here, TeamEccenTrick, and I'm signing out. Rate and subscribe, leave your comments and ideas in the comments section below, and don't hesitate to give us respectful suggestions on content you want to see. Eric on behalf of the team saying take care, and TeamEccenTrick out.